and welcome to our live crafting session this morning. It is Monday the 28th of July 2025. Good morning to you. My name is Jenny McCormac. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I'm based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire, and that's here in the UK. I've got my fingers crossed that I can get through this live before my workmen arrive. I'm having some work done on the house and I'm not sure if they're due first thing this morning, so I'm hoping to get this done because yes, it'll be chaos when they arrive and I won't be able to do both items. So fingers crossed. I'm going to make this short and sweet and crack on. If I do need to stop, then I will do so, and then I'll restart from the beginning. So good morning. We're using Prairie Grass as our stamp set this week. This is our new stamp set of the week. It's an online exclusive product. It is £25. It's red rubber and you can find it online. It's not in a printed catalogue. It has this lovely set of grasses. This large one here is actually bigger than is shown. I did a quick sample here. So it takes up basically most of a card front, and then two smaller ones here. And then there are 5 sentiments. Sometimes life is just hard. You're not alone, I'm here for you. Sending the healing power of love. My shoulder is yours. And so very sorry. What I thought I'd do this week is using some blends pens as if they were watercolour. So we're going to pop the ink from the blends pens onto a block. We're going to dampen that with some alcohol from a spritzer, and then we're going to place that onto our card to give us our background effect, and then we're going to stamp our prairie grass on the top. So let us get cracking sooner rather than later. So I've gone for 2 colourways. This is Secret Sea, this is Melon Mambo. I've got 2 card bases. I've got one opening from the top and one opening in portrait from the side. So those are going to be my bases. And then I've got some pre-cut card. I've cut this so there's a little bit more of a border than normal. I've also got a die cut piece which I may or may not use for one of those. And let us get cracking. I'm going to start just with these 2 bases to get going. So I'm going to do one as a sunset sort of theme and one with a blue background similar to this. The colours I'm going to stamp over with will be Secret Sea and Early Espresso to give a nice silhouette effect. Morning, Catherine. Now I know Catherine's an expert with this set because she's made lots of cards. So you can head over to her Lavender Cards Facebook page and see lots of samples with this. So let's get cracking. I'm going to use a block for the colour in the background. Let's do the blue one first. So I've just got an assortment of blends. It really doesn't matter which colours. And if you've got alcohol markers, this will work. You can also do this to an extent with Stampin' Write markers as well. But we're going to use alcohol because this will dry really quickly onto our card. If you're using water and Stampin' Write markers, you would need to use excuse me, watercolour paper or something similar like our old shimmer paper. So all I'm going to do is lay down with the wider end of the brushes. Let's find one that's got some in it. Oh, not much in that one either. Sorry, I should have checked these out beforehand. Okay, now you're not going to see much of this colour. Maybe if I put this underneath, that'd be a little bit better. Okay, so that is Dark Pool Party. I've got Dark Seaside Spray. I think I've chosen all of the pens that have got very little left. I might have to grab some more. Okay, this is Light Night of Navy. So let me find a few more blue pens. I think I might have to replace some of my blue pens. Let's see what else we've got. Dark Balmy Blue might do the job in here. Well, there's a little bit on there. Not much. What have I got here? Light Cloud Cover. Okay. And, oops, Daisy. How about Light Night of Navy? Okay, let's add a little bit of this in here. Like so. Now I can go back and add more if I need to. So this is going to be my background. I know it doesn't look like very much. You are definitely the expert with this stamp set, Catherine. And we sell these little spritzer bottles. They have very fine nozzle. I've got one filled with alcohol. So this alcohol you can buy from the chemist. This is actually 70% alcohol. And I have this one, which, and I'm trying to work out what colour this was many years ago. So I actually added a few drops of blue ink to this, and I just topped it up with some alcohol. So it is going to look, I am going to add a little bit more blue effectively, but I'm going to use the clear alcohol for the next one. It's only because I had some blue left in here. So what I'm going to do is spritz this background with the alcohol. Okay, so like that. And then I'm going to pop that straight down onto our card. And you'll see the effect of the alcohol. You can see how it's spread on the paper. Like so. And lift it up, and then you get this really lovely watercolour effect. Now, if you felt you wanted more, you could ink up another one. So I could have done one to the left, one to the right, or used a larger block, or I could just ink it up and go over it again. Just going to wipe this down. Clean it off. Now that will take a minute or two to dry, but it's much quicker than water, which is why I'm using this at Coffee and Card. I will have a little box that we can spray into so we don't all get intoxicated. So there's that one there. Let's do one I might just use the top section here. So what I might do is 2 lots like that. Let me wipe this off. Like so. So this one is going to be sort of pinks. I can see I've got some. can't work out if it's staining or not. Let's have a look. There we go. Probably is. Okay, so this time I'm going to go like that, just to work out what side that stain is on. It's here. Okay, and then we're just going to stamp over this. So don't get too worried about what it looks like at this point. So this time we're going to go pinks. So I've got some Flirty Flamingo. And light and dark. And you'll definitely want to use the wider tip for this. I've got light pretty in pink. I've got a little bit of Darling Duckling for a little bit of yellow. And actually what I might do is have that yellow band in the middle. So I'm going to stamp like that and then turn it around and stamp on the other side. So I'm going to move that away. I'm going to use my plain alcohol here and just spritz it like so. Going to turn this over and I'm going to put this yellow band in the middle like so. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do that again the other way round. So I'm using the larger block here. And you can overlap the colours as you're doing it, but just be a little bit careful if you're going light to dark. Right, I'm going to add in, this is, I'm hoping, yeah, Melon Mambo. So I've got a yellow, I've got a light pink and a darker pink. So I'm going to overlay those on here. And it's definitely not an exact science. If you wanted to produce the same results over and over again, exactly the same, this is not, this technique is not for you. So, and if it's not deep enough or it's too stripy or not stripy enough, you can go back in and add another layer. I'm going to add a little bit more pink on the bottom, and it doesn't look like very much, but it will, she says, it will look better when I've done the stamping on top. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of pink on here, so I can just scribble onto here, just add that little bit, spritz with the plain alcohol, and obviously you want to be a little bit careful with this. You don't want to be in a room with no windows open or anything. Add that in. Like so. thinking I've got some little raised area somewhere. Let's just see what's left on here. So this time I'm just going to spritz a little alcohol. See if I can lift any of this colour up. There wasn't much on there. We wipe that down. Add a little bit more. Let's go for dark flirty flamingo. Like so. So the other ways that you can do this is you can obviously use watercolour. You could also use blending brushes and just blend your background if you prefer. So oh, it would indeed. Yes, pro markers, any alcohol markers will work nicely with this technique. And as I say, you can also use Stampin' Write markers and water, but you would just need to use some watercolour paper or something like that. Okay, so let's stamp our prairie grass. Now, I made a mistake in that I trimmed around the edges because I wanted a little bit closer cut, but I trimmed around before I put my label on, so my label is a little bit offset. What I should have done is put the label on and then trimmed the edges. Okay, let's grab a block. I think it's a little bit close for this one, but it will just about fit, like so. So this one I'm going to stamp in Secret C. Oh, excellent, Diana. Give it a go. So I'm going to ink this up. So this is that lovely new Secret C. So, just going to put a piece of grid paper underneath because I'm going to come off the bottom of here. And I did this centrally, but I could have done it off to one side. And just want to make sure that I'm just going off the bottom a little bit. Like so. Nice amount of pressure. Like so. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then I'm going to use espresso and use the other ones on here. Oh, which I haven't labelled, but I think we're good, so I'm just going to go off the bottom with these. A bit like a rabbit, isn't it? Okay, let's get this straight on my block, like so. This is like sort of bulrushes. Now, if you've got areas in here that are a little bit too light and you want to do something with those, you can of course go back in with a nice pale blends pen. So this is light petal pink, so this is not really the right pink, but if you have some gaps, you could just go back in and fill them up. What I would say is stamp it first, because you may find you don't need to do that. It looks quite different when it's been stamped on, as this one does. So let's get espresso. Yes, ink pads and water definitely works. Okay, so this is like bulrushes. It's this one, and I'm going to vary the height like so. Let's just have a little one in here, like that, and then I'm going to use the other one. One here, just more of a sort of straight grass. You could use mossy meadow, that would definitely work. Morning, Babsy. Yeah. Make sure the ink you're using is nice and deep. Bring this one in here, and I'm deliberately stamping off the bottom, like so, and I might just have a little bit of that prairie grass on the right. Let's make sure I clean the top of it. So as I say, this is an online stamp set. So it's not in a printed catalogue. Okay. I'm just making sure this is well inked. This is a well used espresso, so let's just make sure I don't ink that little bit at the top in error. And then we're just going to have this off to the top right hand side. So just use the bits of the stamp that you want. You don't have to use the whole thing. So this one I've used 3, but I've used only the top of that larger piece of grass. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces here. As I say, if you wanted to blend this out a little bit, you could do. And let's add a sentiment for each of these. So I'm going to use, I think I have this one here that says, sending the healing power of love. Not sure how straight that is though. Let's just try it on here. And I know it's roughly straight to the block, so you could also put this on a die cut or on a small piece of card and then cut it out if you wanted to. Yeah, my stamp and my ink pad is a little bit light, so apologies for that. I have ordered some re-inker. Let's do this one for our secret C. What I want to do is just flatten this a little bit. That's better. edge on that one today. Right, and then this one I'm going to put up the top left hand side. Sort of half on, half off of my background. There we go. Okay, now if you've got wing Costella, you could add a little bit of detail to that. I have one here. So if you wanted to, you could add in some drops of that. I'm not sure that you can see much of that on there. Just dotting that on the odd pieces of grass. And let's just pop those together. So nice and straightforward. Let's shut my ink pads and grab some glue. So I'm going to layer that one onto there. This is the alcohol ink coming through, but the good thing is it's stained, but it's dry. Okay, another layer of glue, so I'm keeping this nice and straightforward, just flat layers, not adding any dimensionals. Make sure my card is opening the right way. This is a tent fold card for this. So there's that one there. And then let's do the same with this one. And I think I might just add a little more. This is a light flirty flamingo. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Ooh. Light pretty in pink would be better. Okay, so I'm just blending those lines in a little bit, like so. Like that. Yeah, that feels a little better, a little less stripy, blending those edges a little bit. Okay, so you could easily do some masking and some blending with this, masking off the outside and then blending a section in the middle and then stamping over that. So I'll add that as an option to our copy and card. And there we are. And we made it before the workmen arrived. You could add a little bit of bling if you wanted to, but I think with that sentiment, sending the healing power of love, I think that's just enough as it is. If you've got other silhouette stamps, we've had quite a few over a period of time. Obviously you could use things like the Peaceful View as well, with this technique, doing that in the background and then stamping over the top. So there we are, that's Prairie Grass. I hope you like the samples that we've done. Sorry, just cut the name off the top. So we'll be back on Wednesday morning for our online exclusive. That'll be something that's not in the catalogue, a bit like this one here, but it'll be a one-off. And then I'll be back Thursday evening for some more techniques. Hi Fran, I'm just wrapping up, I'm afraid. Using this Prairie Grass stamp set. I do love a silhouette stamp, I have to say. It's very, very versatile. You can of course stamp onto our pattern papers, especially our let's see if I can find one, because I won't be able to now when I especially our scenery ones is what I'm thinking, which I do have here, but now I can't find, as if I didn't have enough. Oh, I might have one here. So this is from the beautiful gallery. So you could stamp the Prairie Grass in the front to give it additional dimension. Obviously you'd need to be careful which pieces you used. You could also put it onto some plain backing like that. That would be a really nice background effect. So any of these would work for that. So as always, check out your stash and see what you've got that would work with that particular set. Yes, it does. It's, yeah, just really nice. But I do like silhouette stamps in general are a very versatile thing to have in your stash. So I hope you will give it a go. Yes, I'm just thinking I might have to just try that now. Let's do it really quickly. Let's try this other espresso ink pad. Right, let's do it really quickly. Nice, as you say, nice sepia effect, Catherine. Put that on there. Obviously I haven't trimmed this down or anything. And I do like to go just off the bottom if I can. But if not, you can extend the ground a little bit with a pen. Or if you're using inks, you could use it with a lens pen. Nice. I'm just going to trim this. Let's make this. Yeah, that's lovely. So I made this 9.5. By 13.85. So that can sit on an espresso layer, which hopefully I might have just here. And then I would put that onto a basic beige layer card rather than white. There we go. So lots of different variations with silhouette stamps. Let's put that on there. And then I'll pop that onto a base card in a minute. a nice little sentiment on the top right hand side. The one that I use would work particularly nicely, or any of the others. You're not alone, I'm here for you. That would also fit in. Or you could just do just a note, thinking of you, that sort of thing, from Simply Said. Just a note would work particularly nicely, wouldn't it, as well? So there we are, a few ideas with that set. So this is using an acrylic block with blends pens and then spritzed with alcohol. That's those two, and then stamped on top, and then this one is just stamped onto our designer paper. So thank you so much. I added that sneaky little bit in. Thank you, Catherine, for the idea of sepia. And I look forward to catching you again on Wednesday, and I'll see some of you in Toaster this afternoon for our coffee and card, and then tomorrow morning in Brackley, and also Friday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do take care. I'm off to have a cup of coffee and wait and see when the workmen turn up. Thank you so much, and bye for now.